Hello, and welcome to another episode of Taylor Talks Comics. It is time for another Fantagraphics catalog. This is one of my favorite shows to do whenever Fantagraphics drops a new catalog. Today, we're going over the fall 2025 catalog to talk about all the great comics and graphic novels they are releasing for the fall months of this year. So I figure we go through it, talk about the books that are coming out. If I don't know a lot about a certain book, by all means, put it in the comments down below and we can learn together. But put any of your comments, any of your thoughts in the down below. I want to hear which books you're picking up from this catalog, which ones you're interested in. You can ask questions. Maybe I'll be able to help you out, drop some info for you on any of the particular books. And before we get started, please subscribe if you haven't already. I am on the road to 3,000 subscribers, and I am so close. I might get there by the end of this week, but I need your help for that. Other ways you can help is by giving the video a thumbs up and commenting down below. Both those things help the YouTube algorithm put my videos and my channel in front of people's eyeballs that don't know it exists. Other comic book fans that might not know about my content, and I'd appreciate that so much. So without further ado, let's get to this catalog. So let's share my screen here. Make sure that looks good on the screen. It does not. Hold on a second here. Why does it always do this? Present. Bear with me here. Bear with me. StreamYard's changed their screen functions here. I think that one's better. Let's go with that one. There we go. Now you can see the full catalog rather than my full face on the side. And scroll down here. You can see they previously have the summer catalog up there. I did do a video on that if you're wanting to know. It's in the Fantagraphics playlist. I do have a playlist on my channel showing off every Fantagraphics book I've ever talked about or covered on my channel. It's all there. I did recently do a video for their Fantabuck sale, going through nearly every Fantagraphics book I own, but not quite every one of them. I missed a bunch of them, but nearly all of them with my recommendations. And that video, even though Fantabuck sale is over now, but the recommendations still apply. So, all right. So now we're on the fall catalog. We got a Soul Otero title page or title picture for the graphic for the front cover of the catalog. And we're starting off with Search and Destroy Volume 3, the Atsushi Kaneko adaptation of a classic Osamu Tezuka manga. Osamu Tezuka did Dororo, and this is the reimagining adaptation of it. It's taking that same story, but moving it more into kind of a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk story. And I have to say, you can see some of the sample art on the left or on the right page here. It's amazing. I can't wait to get Volume 2, and Volume 2 drops very soon. So by the end of the year, we'll have all 3 volumes for this. And I hope we get more Atsushi Kaneko manga adapted or translated in English, possibly through Fantagraphics, maybe somewhere else. But this is Search and Destroy Volume 3, and this completes the series. So there's only 3 volumes total, which is great. I know some people that only read some manga, not a ton of manga, like to look for smaller series because shelf space is limited. And having these series that last for like 30, 40 volumes can be daunting. But this is it. Really great stuff. This will be $14.99. It is a paperback, and it is pretty much tankobon sized, maybe a little bit taller, but it is, like I said, paperback, very affordable, $14.99, 328 pages, black and white, and the recommended age group is 16 plus. And these are September, these first books I'm talking about. Up next, we have the Ephemerata, Shaping the Exquisite Nature of Grief by Carol Tyler. This is an exciting one. So if you don't know, Carol Tyler was known for her work in Weirdo magazine, and she is a Cartoon Crossroads master cartoonist and a Slate Studio Prize winner. But this is her latest work. They also have Soldier's Heart available from her. You see on the right, though, right there, a sample of her artwork. So on fighting after a dozen deaths and other losses, the renowned cartoonist Carol Tyler returns to the depths of grief with a masterpiece that combines decades-spanning memoir with incredible allegorical imagery, spinning a world of anguish and recovery in a finely detailed brush lines. $39.99. This will be a hardcover, 9 inches by 12 inches, 232 pages, and that'll be out in September. Up next, we have a calendar. This one's really cool. So this is Jim Woodring. It's going to be your 2026 art calendar, and it's coming out in September. Plenty of time for you to post it on your wall to get ready for the upcoming year. It'll have 12 images here. You can look on the right. It'll have 12 painted images by Jim Woodring with some cool lettering on the month, and then even on the calendar down at the bottom right, you can see some more characters drawn for the certain days. It'll only be 28 pages because it is a calendar. It'll be $25, 11 by 7.5 inches 11.75 inches by 9 inches. So I think it's like standard calendar sized, and just really, really brilliant work from Jim Woodring. Any Woodring fan will want to put this on their walls for sure. Then we have Peanuts every Sunday, 1952 through 1955, paperback edition. So these are previously released in the big hardcovers, and now we're getting paperbacks. It'll be $34.99, collecting the years they have listed there, 228 pages, full color, because the Sunday strips are in color, and they take up a whole page. So you might, if you're not too familiar with comic strips, traditionally in the newspaper, there's like a 4-panel grid for your dailies, and you can put multiple of those on each page that like Fantagraphics did in the collections of those, but the Sundays were bigger. So they're like your 9-panel grid type deal, but landscape format, and they're full color. So there you go. This is early stuff. You can see the artwork there on the right. It has like the early character designs of Lucy and Charlie Brown. And this will be the first of 10 oversized softcover collections. So they also did the dailies in hardcovers that were designed by cartoonist Seth from Canada. And they really, I think there's 30 volumes of those, and those were the dailies. Then they've since started a paperback line collecting the exact same content, but those are designed by Jacob Covey, one of my favorite book designers. And now they're doing a kind of an accompanying set of the paperbacks, but these are the Sunday strips. So there you go there. This September still. All right. Also in September, we're getting Walt Disney's Donald Duck. This looks like a job for Duck Avenger by Nicolas Pothier and Luc Batem Collin. The creative team confront Donald Duck with the wild life of a superhero and the wilder life of a working stiff and outrageous new graphic novel. So this is a new material, new graphic novel. This will be $19.99 in the hardcover, 56 pages, 9.6 by 12.5. Fantagraphics has been doing this a lot lately, which I absolutely love this kind of trend. It's like these European album type format hardcovers where it's just like 50 to 90 pages, one story of a Disney character. And they've been really, really great. I've not read a single one that I did not absolutely love. So this is really, really cool. We're getting this. I love that artwork on the right. I don't think I've read anything with Collin or Pothier. I'm guessing it's Pothier. Pothier works in video games, it looks like. I'm trying to see if they have any other comics on here. Marsupilami. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if in the comments if you're familiar with either of their work outside of this comic. Here's a really cool one if you're a Hal Foster fan or Prince Valiant fan. So Fantagraphics has been releasing all of the big, huge, oversized collections of the Prince Valiant strips. This is going to be a Sketchbooks and Illustrated Memoir, Volume 1, edited by Brian M. Kane. This will be the first of a new 6-volume series collecting the sketches and notes behind Hal Foster's creation of the Prince Valiant strip. You can see on the right there, which is amazing that he was doing these back in, do they have like years on here? I don't know. Created Prince Valiant in the 1937. So, and he edited Brian M. Kane edited 18 volumes of the collections of the strip. So 1937 is when it debuted. So in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, he was doing the Prince Valiant strip. This is collecting a lot of his sketchbook work, which is amazing that we have an artist from back then, and we still have some of his sketchbook work. and behind the scenes notes and things. This will be $50 for a hardcover. It is oversized. It's 10.5 inches by 14.3. It'll be 112 pages. And like I said, this will be volume 1 of 6. This one's I'm super stoked about. Death in Trieste. Trieste? I probably butchered that. I'm sorry. Let me know in the comments how to pronounce that. But the important part is this is by cartoonist Jason, who is mononymous, just known by one name, Jason. Enter the topsy-turvy world of the Dadaist and Surrealist in this new suite of graphic short stories by the internationally acclaimed cartoonist Jason. He's one of my favorite cartoonists. You can see his work on the right here, like kind of this simplified cartoony work with anthropomorphic characters. Very dry wit humor, just amazing stuff. A huge fan of his work. I need to do a video on the books that I do own of his. I don't own all of them that Fantagraphics has put out, but I do own a lot of them. And they're always great. So this is new stuff I've never read before. And like I said, Dadaist and Surrealist, those two things definitely in my love languages of comics I like to pick up. So good stuff. And then one of the stories called Sweet Dreams. It says Jason reimagines the new wave artist of the 1980s as X-Men-esque superheroes. Sign me up. That sounds awesome. This will be 176 pages, black and white, 7 inches by 9.2, and it's a hardcover. So I'm imagining this will match up with all their other Jason hardcovers. They're all pretty uniformed in their trim size. $24.99 for this one. Another one I'm super stoked about is the latest of the Attillio Micheluzzi collections. This will be the second volume in this line, but a new story. They previously released one that I did a video on. If you look up his name on my YouTube channel, you can find the video. And that one was in black and white. So this one's full color, so it's a little bit different. But he's the Italian master, Attilio Micheluzzi. Follows dramatic adventures of a mysterious heroine during the end of World War I. This will be in English for the first time. Just incredible artwork. It blew my mind reading that first story that I had never heard of him before. Because I think like there's so many European comics and European cartoonists that I've never heard of and never will hear of, unfortunately. But when I saw how great his work was, I was just blown away that I had never heard of him. I'm like, I've heard of most of the popular ones that have come over, but because his work has never been translated until now, thanks to Fantagraphics, now we're getting this stuff and really mind-blowing artwork. But this will be $34.99 hardcover. It's black and white and color. So I'm assuming some of the strips will be black and white, some will be color. 312 pages, 8 inches by 10.5. Marcel Lebrun, there at the bottom right. Or the middle of the page there, you can see that that's the farewell song of Marcel Lebrun is the first one they did. For the Beetle Bailey fans, we're still in September here. This will be Mort Walker's Beetle Bailey 75 Years of Smiles, written and edited by Brian Walker. A handsome coffee table career retrospective of one of the most respected, dedicated, and prolific cartoonists in the history of comics, Beetle Bailey's Mort Walker. $65 for this hardcover. 12 inches by 9 inches, and it'll be 272 pages. So that does look like it'll be landscape format. Full color and black and white, both. And it looks like to be like a monograph of sorts. And it'll be, part artwork, part biography type stuff. So really cool history of some newspaper strips there. The latest Disney Masters Collector's Box Set number 12. This will collect volumes 23 and 24. So if you're not familiar with the Disney Masters line, this Fantagraphics has the Carl Barks library and the Floyd Gottfredson library they did and the Don Rosa library. The Disney Masters line is collecting mostly the European artists that worked on those same characters, Mickey Mouse, Uncle Scrooge, Donald Duck, into these volumes. And so far they've done 24 volumes. But then whenever they get 2 volumes, they put those together in a box set for you to purchase together. And this will be the 12th box set. Has it working in here by Romana Scarpa, John Lustig, and Daniel Branca. I am familiar with Romana Scarpa's work, and he is a brilliant cartoonist. But this collects... I wonder if it has the... Oh, yeah. So the Mickey Mouse, the Riddle of Brigaboom, sorry. And then the Uncle Scrooge Worldwide Witch by Daniel Branca. It'll be a total of 392 pages, and $69.99 for the set, 8 inches by 10.9. And those books, like I said, are available separately as well if you're wanting just the Mickey Mouse or just the Donald Duck. Witchcraft by Sol Otero. So, like I said, the cover image of our catalog here is by Sol Otero. I previously read her Mothballs book, and it was awesome. I absolutely love that one. I think that was actually the first review copy I got from Fantagraphics that I did a review on. Really, really great stuff. I really love that graphic novel. And this one, I think I might like even more because it has to do with some mysticism and spiritual witches and witchcraft and a little bit of horror type stuff. But her cartooning is brilliant. Her color work is brilliant. This will be $34.99, paperback with flaps, 376 pages, so it's a thick one. Full color, 7.1 by 9.6. I believe that's the same trim size as what Mothballs was, which you can see on the bottom right of the page there. Up next, we have Tommi Parrish with The Past is a Grotesque Animal. And it's a rich collection scrapbook of over 24 short stories, plus diary entries, photos, and other images fueled by the propensity to understand the way we relate to each other and told with a visual and lyrical beauty and raw emotion that's collectively reaffirms the power of art. This will be 220 pages, full color, 6 by 8.5. It's a paperback for $29.99. You see the bottom right, other previous books they've released with Tommi Parrish's work is Men I Trust and The Lie and How We Told It. This is an awesome one. Another one I'm super stoked about. This is The Lonely Lighthouse sorry, I just butchered that. Walt Disney's Donald Duck, The Lonely Lighthouse on Cape Quack, the complete Carl Barks Disney Library, 29. So I do have a video on my channel showing off every volume of the Carl Barks Library up to a certain point. I'm missing. I need to update it. I think I'm going to update it once volume 1 drops, which is later this year. Because once we get that first volume, because they've released these out of order, but once we get volume 1 dropping later this year, we'll have volumes 1 through 28 consecutive volumes. And then volume 29 is the next one after that. I've heard we're going to get 30 volumes, possibly 30 to 34 is what I've heard from certain Carl Barks fans, considering the amount of material left for them to collect, which is amazing. Carl Barks is an amazing cartoonist. If there's one Donald Duck artist that you want to collect or look at or read his comics, it'll be him that I highly recommend. All these volumes are like perfect to pick up too. All these stories are one and done. You don't need to pick them up and read them all in order. So just pick up one that seems interesting to you if you want to try it out, and then maybe go on from there. But yeah, this will be volume 29. This will be $39.99, hardcover, 220 pages, full color, 7.6 by 10.3, which is the same trim size as all the others. But also we have the Uncle Scrooge gift box set, the Golden Nugget Boat and Cave of Ali Baba, volumes 26 and 28 of the Carl Barks Library put into a slipcase. So just like the Disney Masters I talked about previously, they put 2 volumes of these into a slipcase as well, if you want to go that route. Now in October, we have Nocturnos by Laura Perez. Spanish comic artist Laura Perez follows up her celebrated graphic novels Totem and Ocultos with an immersive tour through the ethereal world of nighttime. So you see her brilliant painted artwork there on the right. $29.99 hardcover, 192 pages, full color, 7.75 by 10.5 inches. And then the bottom right there, you can see the previous Fantagraphics releases of Laura Perez's Ocultos and Totem. I love that Fantagraphics does that too, that they don't just put out one graphic novel for an artist, they try to collect their whole catalog. And I'm an obsessive collector like that. When I find one artist or cartoonist or writer that I like, I want everything they've ever done. And Fantagraphics makes that easy for me as a collector. Wish We Weren't Here by Peter Cooper, introduction by Jake Tapper. New York Times and Rolling Stone cartoonist Peter Cooper addresses climate change and our oligarchical oligarchical future in an all-new graphic novel political cartoon hybrid. Oh man, I cannot talk today. So it's gonna be 104 pages, full color, 7.5 by 8 inches, paperback, 1999. And you can see on the right there examples of his artwork. Looks to be, just as it says, the political cartoon slash graphic novel, which I kind of like that hybrid idea. And sorry for butchering that word. Here's a different release too. This will be Love and Understanding, the jazz photography of Don Schlitten. First ever collection of legendary jazz producer, Prestige, Xanadu, and Muse. Don Schlitten's photography featuring icons of jazz like Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, John Coltrane, Ella Fitzgerald, Sonny Rollins, Frank Sinatra, and more. 128 pages, black and white, full color photos, 11.5 by 11.5, so it's square shaped. $49.99. It'll be a good coffee table book if you have a jazz fan in your life. As an extra bonus, this book features an American Splendor comic strip that features Don educating Harvey Pekar, as well as a gallery of Don's personal favorite top 30 album covers. That's a cool little addition there. Silly Symphonies Collector's Box Set. I'm excited about this box set because I have missed out on the first 2 releases of this. So now I might pick up this in a slipcase. It'll be really cool. Silly Symphonies, though, is the comic strip where Donald Duck debuted before Carl Barks started to revolutionize him as a character. These are landscape format, and this will be 2 volumes in 1 slipcase, $74.99, 424 pages, full color, 12.4 by 9 inches. You can see some of the artwork there. And these are new Fantagraphics releases. I believe it was Sunday Press through IDW that previously released Silly Symphonies. I think that's right. Let me know in the comments. But Fantagraphics has since picked it up and now put it out on their own. In November, we have Lost Marvels number 3, Savage Tales of the 1980s, with work in here by Archie Goodwin, Michael Golden, John Severin, and John Buscema. This is awesome. I have the first Lost Marvels volume, Tower of Shadows. It's coming out, I think, in April or May. But I have an early review copy, and I've been reading through it. Awesome stuff. I love this line because if you already know that Fantagraphics has been doing the Atlas Comics line, which is like the 1950s era, which is really cool. I love those comics too, but this is more contemporary. And when I say contemporary, I mean 1980s. I guess it's still like 40 something years ago. But these Lost Marvels are like the non-superhero stories that Marvel's likely never to reprint, and they've kind of farmed it out to Fantagraphics to do. And this is collecting all 8 issues of the long out of print, tough-minded 1980s run of Savage Tales, and it will hit you like a punch in the face. So for 13 months in the mid-80s, Marvel assembled some of its strongest artists and writers to tell gritty, harrowing, and blackly humorous adventure stories ranging from gangster noir to historical battlefields to the deadly Old West to post-apocalyptic futures. Unseen for 40 years, we have John Severin, John Buscema, Sam Glanzman, Val Merrick, Gray Morrow, Herb Trimpe, Michael Golden. I can't wait to see what he has his work in here. Chuck Dixon, Bill Ray, Denny O'Neil, Archie Goodwin. So really, really cool stuff by some artists that their work hasn't been reprinted. These stories have been reprinted at least. You see on the bottom right there, Lost Marvels, Tower of Shadows, the first volume. That's one's coming out soon. Lost Marvels number 2 is Howard Chaykin volume 1. That one's coming out in a few months later. And then in November, this will be coming out. So we got 3 Lost Marvels volumes in the first year of this line, which is really cool. $65, 528 pages, black and white and color, 8.8 inches by 11.3. Another one I'm excited about for people that don't have this. I have the previously released hardcover, but I'm glad this is coming back into print. This will be a paperback, but it has the same exact page count, 376 pages as the hardcover. So all the same content. But Turn Loose Our Death Rays and Kill Them All, the complete works of Fletcher Hanks, edited by Paul Karasik. A gigantic compendium that collects the complete stories written and drawn by the 1940s outsider superhero artist Fletcher Hanks. If you don't know about Fletcher Hanks, I should do a video on that book just to explain it to you, but the outsider art's perfect description of him. So the 1940s is when Superman and Batman were debuting as well. So a lot of superheroes started popping up, and Fletcher Hanks had this art style unto his own. Outsider art. I think cartoonist kayfabe called it outlaw comics. Even like it's weird, bizarre stories. They're not exactly moral endings either. It's like Fletch, like the character of Stardust will just like toss guys, throw them into the sun to kill them. Like it's not your typical Superman comics. They're weird and strange. And Fletcher Hanks himself had a very tragic life and ending. It says he was an abusive alcoholic who was found frozen to death on a park bench, is how his life ended. I think there is some writing in here by his son, or Paul Krasik interviewed his son or something to get some of the information on him and how he wasn't the greatest guy. He had a tragic life. And that spurred on a lot of these weird ideas from him. But the character of Phantoma too is who you see on the cover there. Like the middle character that you see flying off, that's Stardust, the super wizard. And then the girl's face on the left and girl's face on the right is her turning into Phantoma. That's the other character you'll see in there. Also in November, we have Comfortless by Miguel Villa. Miguel Villa magnifies with the petty and morbid narrowness of the human soul with a precision to rival storytellers like Mike Lee, Andrei Zivagastinev, and Michael Haneke. This book claims no claims to scientific validity and in no way intended for informational purposes. It's it's set in Venetian province of Italy. The themes Via addresses are global. Comfortless is a catastrophic fresco of humanity adrift, where fears and selfishness draw a merciless map of the emptiness of our times. You can see the artwork on the right there. Oh, Milky Way. Okay, I was gonna say this artwork looks familiar. So Miguel Villa previous work was Milky Way, which you can see on the bottom right there. That was released by Fantagraphics, I think last year. This will be a paperback. It's 1999, 7.1 inches by 9.9. Atlas Creator Collection. Number 3, Bill Everett, Volume 1. So I just noticed they changed the name to Atlas Creator Collection. Interesting. So it was the Atlas Artist Edition. I do know that Scott Doombeer has recently copyrighted that term. I wonder if that's why they changed the name or if it's just to deviate from the artist editions. I do think Atlas Creator Collection is more appropriate of a title. So I do like that change. And it's not going to change the spines or the book design. It's literally 2 words that change on the cover there. The cover looks exactly the same as the previously released Al Williamson collection and I'm drawing a blank here. Joe Manili collection. This one will be 256 pages, $75. And this is Bill Everett Volume 1. So this is Atlas Creator Collection Volume 3, but it's Bill Everett Volume 1 because there will be another volume. I know this because the person putting this together is Dr. Michael Vassallo, who is like the utmost historian on all Atlas comics. He writes the introductions for all the Atlas editions for Marvel and brilliant introductions. I keep saying that the introductions are worth the price of admission alone. The amount of historical context and comic book history that I learned from reading them. He's only putting these together, and he talks about these on Facebook quite a bit, trying to track down actual copies of these comics for them to scan in and restore back to their original form, or as close to as they could get. And he said he had so much content for Bill Everett that they're going to break this into 2 volumes. This will be 10.3 by 13.8, same trim size as the other ones. You can see some of his artwork right there. And this will be his non-superhero work, by the way. So they won't have any of his Submariner work or anything like that. It'll have all of his horror comics and things like that. So keep that in mind. Lovers and Haters, a Love and Rockets book. So this is a Gilbert Hernandez book. We just recently got Life Drawing from Jaime Hernandez, which is one of the best comics I read all year so far. Now we're getting a Gilbert Hernandez collection, collecting some of his, the next chapter of his Palomar saga with actress Fritz contends with a sex cult mad scientist and her inner demons. It's the first story collection in Gilbert Hernandez's Palomar saga to take place after the events of 2010's High Soft Lisp. and is torn from the pages of Love and Rockets New Stories and Love and Rockets Volume 4 and Psychodrama Illustrated, and is expanded with 14 new pages. So if you're a Love and Rockets fan and you've been collecting everything in the single issues, what they do typically is they'll serialize all their stories in the single issues, but then they'll compile the stories that have to do with certain characters into these hardcovers or paperbacks, graphic novels, to be able to be read in one sitting kind of thing. And then sometimes they'll expand them with new pages. So really, me as a Love and Rockets diehard, I've been wanting to collect the single issues to keep up on the new stories that they come out with, or also to have that kind of reading experience of reading them in the singles. But whenever they do new collections with them more pages, I like to also read them in that context as well. But this will be $19.99, black and white, 120 pages, 6.6 by 9.8. So I think it's your standard trade paperback trim size. Kathy Malkasian, Shadows of the Sea. That was the latest, or the next book that we're going to be talking about. You see on the right there, her brilliantly painted artwork. $24.99 for this hardcover, 168 pages, 8.3 by 10.3. And Kathy Malkasian, I don't know how to pronounce that, previously released The Heavy Bright, came out from Fantagraphics last year. I get a lot of questions about these. So this is the EC Artist Library Slipcase Volume 7. I have every volume of these so far. Brilliant series, one of my pride and joys of my collection. But I have them all individually. I've not collected the slipcases. But every time they get 4 volumes of these, kind of like the Disney comics I talked about earlier, 4 volumes of these, they put them into a slipcase and sell them that way. A lot of collectors collect them only in the slipcases. So whenever I do a video on my EC Artists Library that they do, I get questions about when's the next slipcase coming out. Well, here we go. $120 for 4 volumes. It comes out to about $30 a volume. That's a good value because I think they've upped the price on the latest volumes of these to be $35. So that's a really good value. 4 hardcovers of some of the best comics you'll ever read. In this will be the Terror Train, Man and Superman, which is the Harvey Kurt. Oh, wow. Man and Superman is highly out of print right now. So they'll be bringing it back into print, it looks like. That's the Harvey Kurtzman sci-fi stories. And then Atom Bomb, which is the Wallywood war comics. And The Woman Who Loved Life by Johnny Craig. That's one of my all-time favorite crime comics I've ever read in my life, is that collection. Johnny Craig crime comics is amazing. That's a great collection. That slipcase is amazing. And these are all one and done stories. You don't, even though this is volume 7 up here, you don't need to have read anything else before. You can pick up this and start from here. I don't even know if it says volume 7 on the box itself, but check out my videos on these. I have plenty of videos on this. But over 1,036 pages of some of the best comics ever for only $120. That might be the best value in this whole catalog. Prince Valiant gift box set, volumes 19, 20, and 21 in the slipcase. So again, like the EC books, like the Disney books, Prince Valiant, whenever they get 3 volumes of those, they put them into a slipcase. This one will be $99.99, 3 volumes, 336 pages total. And these are very, very large sized books. They're 10.7 by 14.6. Cloven, Book 3 by Garth Stein and Matthew Southworth. Fan favorite Stumptown comic series, comes to the 3rd book of the action-packed. Okay, so this is, I don't know much about this. I've never read Cloven. I always see it and am intrigued by it. If you know more about it, let me know in the comments. Those will be $29.99 hardcover, 180 pages, 8.3 by 10.6. This one looks awesome. I've never heard of Max Huffman as a comic or a cartoonist, but the artwork in this looks great, and I love the premise. This is Dog Tangle. It's a satirical comedy about an ambitious power couple in a bleak corporate landscape who defy God and nature to create a modern Cerebus for their time. Just look at that cartooning on that right. That is so wild. Like, that is a cartoonist unto their own style. $19.99 hardcover, 128 pages, 1 color, 7.25 by 9.5. The Complete Hate Volume 2, the archival collection of one of the best-selling alternative comic book series, arguably the great American grunge novel, now in paperback. So this is Peter Bagg's Complete Hate. If you have the box set, I've showed those off before. Those were released in 3 volumes. Volume 1 had issues 1 through 15. Volume 2 had 16 through 30. And then Volume 3 was the annuals they did after that. I'm assuming they're mirroring those exact same contents for these paperback collections. These would be thick paperbacks, 348 pages, black and white with spot color, 7 inches by 10.5, $29.99. Peter Baggs, one of the all-time greatest cartoonists. Funny comics. One of the few cartoonists that makes me laugh out loud when I'm reading his stuff. He tapped into the vein of 90s grunge and 90s pop culture better than any other cartoonist. Must read comics, absolutely. So can't pitch those enough for you. Winnie the Pooh, the 100-acre wood comic collection, 172 pages, full color, 8 by 10.9, $29.99. Disney talents from around the world have been making Winnie the Pooh comics book stories since 1977. Now these warm, wacky, and wild adventures are anthologized for the first time in North America. So this will be a whole new line of Disney comics that Fantagraphics is collecting, and this will be out in December. The Magnificent Adventure. This is the last book on the catalog, I believe. This Magnificent Adventure by Milo Manara. So it's Milo Manara's famously inept adventurer returns to the U.S. and stumbles into his first quest. Milo Manara is one of the all-time absolute amazing cartoonists, artists, illustrators ever to touch pen to paper when it came to comics. We're one of those artists that I always say that we're blessed that he chose comics. But Milo Manara, great work here. I can already tell on the right. $24.99 for this paperback. It'll be 112 pages, black and white, 9.25 by 12.25. So it's kind of like your European album format for that. And that's it. That's the catalog. Thank you for joining me on this. Thank you for going through the catalog with me. Please drop in the comments down below which of those books that you are going to be picking up this fall from Fantagraphics. Let me know any questions you have, and I'll see if I can answer them, or any questions that I have for you guys, and you can answer them. I'd appreciate that as well. Love talking comics with you guys. Please subscribe to the video if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you get all my notified of all my videos. Hit the thumbs up. All those things help the YouTube algorithm. I'm on the road to 3,000 subscribers, and I need your help. All that jazz. You know what I'm talking about. But thank you for joining me. Keep talking comics. Keep buying comics. Keep reading comics. Have a good one, everybody.